Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our first session of a two-session part for orientation for our AGs. And permit me to especially acknowledge the incoming District Governor, Leslie. He's now going to be in the front seat now. Immediate past District Governor of 7020, Charles Seeley, who will be formally introduced by his brother from another mother, IPDG, Lyle, our own Lyle, from our district. Distinguished PDGs on the call, a special hello and happy that you can spare the time to join us this evening. I am Liz Cox from the Rotary Club of Garden City, Georgetown, and I shall be your moderator this evening. I will be ably assisted by the incoming district training team. We have some of them present here already. This is going to be two sessions that we have planned for the AGs, and it's meant to prepare you for that very important role of supporting the work of the DG. As we mentioned last November, where we shared with you the roles and responsibilities, it is to ensure that clubs are really motivated, you give them the guidance and any other needed support throughout the Rotary year. So in this session, we will focus on how can you motivate them to set and realize goals in a timely manner. But before I hand you over to DGE Leslie, who will formally open the session, I wish to share with you some of the usual meeting protocols, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, but just as a reminder. There's no French channel this evening because I believe everyone who's on the call can speak fluently in English and also understand English as well. Kindly stay on mute during the course of the presentation. Use your raise hand in Zoom if you wish to speak. This session is going to be in two parts. We have a presentation by IPDG Charles, and in the first section of our session this evening, and then we'll have a Q&A just after that, and then we go straight into a breakout room where the teams have been chosen and selected randomly, have also been placed into groups with a specific item to discuss, and these groups will be led by our district training team where possible. If not, we'll have to ask you to lead your groups. PP Lisa will moderate the question and answer section in the chat. And while I know you guys like to make comments, please avoid making those during the presentation. Make sure you enter your questions in caps in the chat. Just to remind you that the recording will be placed on our district website and the YouTube channel of our district within 48 hours. On that note, I'd like to hand over, it is my distinct pleasure and honor to hand you over to DGE Leslie. Leslie, the frame is yours.
Good evening, and thank you very much, District Trainer Leeds. I want to welcome our past district governors, our incoming assistant governors, our district training committee, and District Secretary-elect Alana. Thanks to everyone for making the time to meet us as we prepare for our year of leadership and service. Your support for the incoming year, beginning July 01, is of extreme importance as we only have 525,600 minutes to complete our mission. I would like to recognize and introduce our District Secretary-elect, Alana, who is from the Rotary Club of Grenada. Alana had to quickly jump into the saddle to take over the reins from the original nominated District Secretary-elect, Julia, who unfortunately could not continue. Alana, having been a team member of our district conferences in Grenada, is no stranger to this position, and she's carrying the baton with efficiency. Thank you very, very much, Alana, for taking up that mantle. I would just like to introduce our district training team. Liz has already introduced herself. She's our training team leader from Guyana. She's also joined by Lisa Foster from Guyana. From Curacao, we have Julian Depoux. French Guyana, we have Joel Francelon. From St. Kitts, Leah Craig-Chatterton. From Suriname, Vias Koku. And from Trinidad, Abraham Daniel, and the person we all know very well, Sean Paddy. So thank you, team, for your support. And we thank you for volunteering to commit your time to ensuring that our assistant governors receive the best preparation possible for the task ahead. International Assembly concluded on Monday, and after 1 week of virtual training and great fellowship, President-elect Jennifer opened proceedings with a very inspiring address, ending with the announcement of her theme, Imagine Rotary. And she listed her priorities for the year. Her main priority being a word that we've heard in the past, another word, the letters that we've heard in the past, and she has focused on that for her year in office: diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as you know, at Rotary, we understand that cultivating a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture is essential to realizing our vision of a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change. So you will be hearing a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout the incoming Rotary year. I know it has been piped at us in the past Rotary years, but she is placing much emphasis on DEI. President-elect Jennifer is also going to be focusing on the formation of new clubs, especially innovative and cost-based clubs. We are giving Rotarians alternatives to the standard club model to form new clubs and so to expand our Rotary reach. She has, again, emphasized the importance for increasing our contributions to the Polio Plus Fund, and we are continuing the requests from clubs of $1,500 per club as contributions to the Polio Plus Fund. Not forgetting our contributions to the annual fund, of course. Engagement and retention of members. Focusing on the comfort and care philosophy is another important facet of President-elect Jennifer's theme. She's concerned that we must pay special emphasis on the comfort and care of our members, make them feel wanted, make them feel satisfied with the club atmosphere. She intends to conduct a global impact tour to meet world leaders to raise Rotary's profile in the world. Again, expanding our reach, creating more impact, Rotary impact throughout the world. And of course, importantly, empowering girls and increasing the number of women in Rotary to achieve a target of 30% women in Rotary. As far as our district is concerned, we will continue to focus on our strategic plan with focus on our 7 areas of focus, initiatives on our 7 areas of focus. We will strengthen our clubs, we will increase our public image, we must maintain our contributions to Polio Plus and Rotary Foundation. We will continue the district initiatives of our peace clubs and our childhood obesity program, which is really gaining momentum in our district. Something that we need every club to pick up as a project. And of course, my passion, I would really love to see clubs adopting an environmentally sustainable project. I'm very passionate about the environment, and we should all be, because as we look around us, we see the effects of climate change, the effects of human destruction, and we must get a grasp on that if we are to enjoy our lives in this world of ours. So my passion, as I said, I would encourage clubs, and I have been doing this as I visited clubs with District Governor Sonia, encouraging them to adopt environmental projects. Assistant governors, at our last meeting in November, and Liz hinted on that, we spoke to you about your roles and responsibilities. And I just quickly want to run through your roles. remembering that you are the connection between the clubs and the district. You are the main support person, and we expect all our governors, district governors, or assistant governors, sorry, to build strong relationships with clubs in your respective groups. Establish contacts with your president-elects and secretary-elects as soon as possible to offer assistance in guiding them at this early stage of their planning. Your input there is so important, guiding them and making sure that the club administrative procedures are in place. The clubs are well set up to formulate the plans and objectives to the year, uploading the information in Rotary Club Center. So it is really important that you, assistant governors, get involved with every single club under which you have oversight. Assistant governors must provide continuity in leadership, must motivate the incoming president, and hence the reason for getting involved in with their clubs. Not telling you to get into club affairs, but please assist them as they go along to develop the plans and objectives. It is my hope that assistant governors can begin their club visits from the 1st of July. We'd like you to be on the ground with the clubs, visiting them, providing as much assistance as you can. And I have to repeat again, making sure that the budgeting, the reporting goals are up in RCC, make plans to increase membership and so on. So during this process, during your meetings with them, you would get to know their strengths and weaknesses, and we can work on strengthening these clubs throughout the year. At the district level, you must know your leadership team. Of course, we know that our current governor is District Governor Sonia. The governor nominee is Brian Glasgow. Nominee is Debbie Rookchan. And your past district governors are all well known in the district. Assistant governors, I encourage you to relate to one another, build that level of familiarity with each other, have ongoing discussions so that we can help the district to go forward. And of course, keep up to date with your Rotary initiatives. At this point, I think I've outlined what we expect of you. And in the words of President-elect Jennifer, it is now showtime. I now hand you over to District Trainer Liz. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, DGE. Leslie, and I have a very able timekeeper in Leah. Welcome, DG Sonia. I'm very happy to see you. I know that you're in the midst of your travels and doing your bit as DG, but welcome. Glad to see you. On this note, DGE mentioned about DEI, and I think this tonight is a perfect example of diversity, inclusion, and equity. We have as our keynote speaker this evening, IPDG Charles Seeley from District 720, and I'd like to invite IPDG Leslie, his brother from another mother, to formally introduce him.
Thanks, Liz. It's actually Lyle, but it's cool. I mean, you forgot. District Governor Sonia, where are you? Are you still there? I'm not seeing her. I can't see her. Okay, so I'll start off by addressing District Governor-elect, my future boss, Leslie. Assistant governors, wait a minute. Leslie's next boss, Brian, District Governor nominee, past district governors, and my fellow Rotarians, assistant governors, all. I have to tell you that it is such an honor for me to be asked to introduce my fellow Flamingo, my friend, immediate past District Governor Charles Seeley from District 7020, who, as Liz said, is going to deliver the feature address. Buckle up, guys. Now, past District Governor Charles "The Voice" Seeley, and you will know what I mean when he speaks, served as Chief Executive Officer for the past 12 years at Doctors Hospital. Over his 22 years with the company, he was instrumental in directing the hospital to international accreditation, along with other significant accomplishments in quality and outcomes. Prior to joining the hospital, his early years, his career was in banking, policing, and as a managing director of a consortium of companies. Don't mess with this guy, he's a cop, okay? He currently serves as President and Chief Executive Officer of Centrus Distributors Limited and as a Director of International Health Resources Company Limited. He received his early education at the University of the Bahamas, his associate degree in management, University of the West Indies, Bachelor of Science, Public Administration and Economics, Western Connecticut State University, where he received his MSc in Healthcare Administration, and a Bachelor of Law degree, LLB, from the University of London. In 2007, he was introduced into the University of the Bahamas Alumni Association Hall of Fame for his outstanding achievement. He has supplemented his management knowledge through attendance at leadership seminars at Harvard Business School and other management clusters. His healthcare knowledge was also bolstered by a senior level executive administrative internship at Baptist Hospital in South Florida, corporate office, and his membership in the American College of Healthcare Executives. He has also received credentials as a chartered director through the Caribbean Governance Training Institute. He has had the opportunity to lead a number of pursuits, and he is particularly fond of his involvement in Rotary. He joined Rotary in 1997 and was pleased to serve as president of the Rotary Club of Southeast Nassau in 2003-04. Assistant governor of the Rotary Bahamas in 2010-12, and has held various positions in the district over the years. IPDG Charles is a multiple Paul Harris Fellow, member of the Paul Harris Society, a benefactor, Bequest Society member, and a major donor. He currently participates as an instructor at the zone level for district governor's nominee. He is a member of the Young Presidents Organization, YPO, and a member of the Boule Sigma Pi Phi Delta Lambda Charter. He currently serves on the board of the University of the West Indies, Bahamas Extension, as vice chair, as an ambassador for the Hands for Hunger, and is the immediate past chief judge for the Bahamas Bodybuilding Fitness Federation. Told you don't mess with this guy. He is also a reserve superintendent of police with the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Charles is married to Rochelle Seeley, nee Wallace, and together they have 3 sons, a daughter and son-in-law, and 2 granddaughters, of whom he is extremely proud. DG Leslie, fellow Rotarians, I present to you my friend and fellow Flamingo, IPDG Charles Seeley. Please give him a rousing round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my friend. And good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure. I consider you guys to be family, so it's good to be with family once again. My brother and I, we started a journey a long time ago where we wanted to ensure that we remain in connection. So I hope our incoming district governor is intending to continue the partnership with 7020, with 7,000 and all our brothers and sisters around the world. Well, they've given me 15 minutes to talk tonight. I'm going to stand on the protocol that has already been established. And so I want to say a special good evening to everyone. I'm going to invite District Secretary-elect Alana to hold me accountable to time. She looks like someone who can do that very well. And she will also have to do that as part of her job, as she will now have to manage her district governor. So she can hold me accountable that we stay on time. And so for this evening, I get an opportunity to actually iterate what your district governor-elect was speaking to you about in his opening comments. And it's almost going to be ditto in a sense, and hopefully it resonates, as we both will probably touch on some of the same things. And it's a little bit of talk about motivation, inspiration, and how do we do that? Well, first of all, assistant governors for the District 7030, attention! When we hear that statement on a parade, it usually comes from the commander, comes from that person who is in front of us. And immediately, without question, immediately, persons begin to stand to attention. They stand upright with an assertive and correct posture. And of course, famously, you've got your chin up, but their shoulders are squared and they're ready to go. Their arms are fixed and everything is ready, it's in place. Their eyes are front, focus on what's ahead of them. And of course, they're keeping the heels together for two things: stability and preparation to move ahead. No one is speaking, and no one is speaking because something is about to happen. And everyone is waiting for that clarion call. What is it that we will do next? So what is our attention as we sit here as leaders who are looking forward to our year? And as you heard, the minutes that you have to now account for, know that it will go by very, very quickly. If you ask past District Governor live, he'd love to do it all over again because it went just like that. And so do you. Now, let me don't lie, you'll be so happy when it's all finished and done because you're going to leave everything on the table. But that is going to come very quickly. And so your attention starts from when you heard the term, imagine Rotary. It's where our president sets the focus, and then that is masterfully filtered throughout our organization. It is our macro attention. And at another level, your district governor-elect, who's already indicated that he's really passionate about the environment, is also going to give you another level of attention. And that attention, of course, is going to have the cultural sensitivity, the things that are important to your district. And then, of course, as you go one more level down, there's another attention, because you are now a servant of the clubs. And they're going to say to you, here's what we would like to do. This is your attention. This is the thing that is going to be your focus. It's going to be the thing, of course, that says to you, here's where we're going and how we're going to get there. You would have had your training on your assistant governor's roles. And it would have been a goodly amount. As you can see, there's a couple here that speaks to some of the macro level things that you are expected to do. I'm not going to chase those, especially when it's something you could read. I don't spend time speaking to those things. So if you don't know, there's a manual that will tell you everything that you have as a responsibility. But let's get into the belly of the role as an assistant governor. We know that the assistant governor will serve as the governor's official representative. You heard earlier from District Governor-elect that you will be that conduit, that you will be there to be an advisor, that you would help to coordinate. But I've been around a little while. I've seen assistant governors come and go. And I want to tell you what actually happens. No fluff, because you know what's in front of us are a number of 18 persons, all of different backgrounds, intentionalities, and who have a representation that's yet to be defined. But I will say to you, some will be great, some will be mediocre, some may be even awful. Question is, which one are you? Here's what happens, I kid you not, and if I were to pull district governors from around and poll them, they'll tell you the truth. But what actually happens is some show up when it's time for the awards. That's actually to the end of the year. They've been missing in action for the entire year. And they show up because now they're held into an account. Some visit the clubs once in a while, you know, whenever I got time, because of course we're all busy, but it's not something that is intentional. It's accidental, or it's when you're reminded that you ought to be doing this, or if someone pulls in your coattail. And then some never engage the details of their request that comes by emails, information that is being asked of them, the clubs trying to engage them. And what clubs tend to do is they bypass the assistant governor. They go straight to the district governor because they don't see the value of the role of the assistant governor. And there are some of you who are simply ticking the box, possibly because you were forced to become the assistant governor and because no one else wanted to do it. Or you have aspirations of being a district governor and you know that this is the way to get to it. So you're just ticking that box on the official Rotary resume to say, been there, done that. But you're being asked to do something a little bit different. You're being asked to imagine Rotary, to imagine where we are, or where can we go, and how you as a leader can help to. I asked some presidents when I spoke to them, as president, when you're finished your year, and I would ask your members, know you were there? Would your impact be so significant that at the tip of a tongue, they can speak to the wonderful things that exalt you and extol you, but you would have done and you important in them? Would they even know you were there? And so assistant governors, question, and we go back to your clubs, will they know you were there? That's where you start. You start as a leader. Here, this is a blank piece of paper. It's nothing coming from anyone else, what you must do. It's a blank piece of paper. It's an opportunity for you to say, here's a canvas in front of me with 4 to 5 clubs that I have the responsibility for. What I just became, not an assistant governor, but I was just installed as the district governor of 4 to 5 clubs. I am the leader of the board for all the clubs, but I am the district governor for my 4, 5 clubs. Myself, passionate district governor-elect is, so too you must be as passionate for those 4 to 5, because they will see authenticity. They will know if you are there or for yourself. And so you have to start with the end in mind, and the end in mind says, all of my club will be great. When I was assistant governor, my goal was simply this. I thought I was a really good president, but I wanted to ensure that every president under my watch would be I was. And that's what you do in your clubs. You have to say, I'm going to make these presidents a better than I was. You start with the end in mind. Then you start the process of planning, auditing, monitoring, measuring. Those become easy when you know you have something to throw a stone at to achieve.
PDD Charles, sorry, a 5-minute time check.
Awesome. Did I tell you she's excellent? She, you know, I'm going to put you as secretary for another term after this. Celebrate the good. Journey in the bad. Figure out the rest together. Work with your clubs. Integrate yourself in the clubs. Assistant governors. I didn't have to find out from them how good they were. Their clubs talked about how good they were because they were part and parcel of the fabric of that particular club. And even though I would say to the district governor, he should ensure that he meets with you on a regular basis. I met with my group on a quarterly basis because the year goes really, really fast. But in the same token, I stepped away because when I gave them the training as a district governor, and I told them, of course, I moved away. I actually, even when clubs came with issues, the first question I said was, well, did you speak to the governor? And send them knows that his job is to help make your job even easier. Some clubs are going to take that leap, send them back. But if you make yourself available early, it's going to be easy. It's going to be easy. Micromanage the uncertain or the unknown. I would tell you don't micromanage, but this is where you manage. If you don't have the information coming from the club, if you're uncertain whether it was done, you've got to be on top of that. Anything unknown, anything uncertain, be on top of them. Otherwise, step away and let them morph into something great. Build and promote the strengths of each club. Bring them all together, and it's such a wonderful thing when you can say, my 4 to 5 clubs, we're doing several joint projects. Every club gets the same benefit, so why not? They share the resources, they get the best of all, the brightest minds come together, less resources coming from each of the group. Bring them together, even if only to meet, to learn best practices, to learn from the issues that may come from time to time. This becomes important for you. The motivation happens very easy, The motivation happens from when they watch you and see how seriously interested you are in them. Right now, Rotary is more complex than it's ever been. The internet, the reports, the structure, it's a much more complex world. The need is great. There's so much calling for us. We know that all of us, and some people look at my resume and ask me, how do I do it? But all of us have a life where time is just the one challenge for all of us. You have to be there for them because of these things that exist. Because Rotary is more complex and they may not know how to navigate, and you may not know as well. That's okay. You don't have to know all the answers. You just have to help them navigate. And I promise you, on the district team, otherwise, there are persons who have the information. The need is great. They may not know of all the things that they could be doing. Help them to broaden their scope, because you'll be exposed to more opportunities and things that clubs are doing. Help them to navigate, not the usual and the customary, but what else can you do differently? These Rotarians are better than they think. They don't even know how great they are. Your job is to pull it out of them, yank it out of them, force them to be better than they ever was. I enjoyed my year as district governor because I was able to see the good, the bad, and the difficult. But through it all, what I saw was a group of individuals who hunkered around the same passion to do good, to be better than they've been before. Your job is to find them. Your job is to help them. Pull out the Rotarian in them and imagine where we can go. Thank you so much. This is a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you, IPDG Charles. In true military style, you've touched on some key points. You've touched on all of what we would like to see happen in terms of the assistant governors being that, providing that supporting role to clubs and that link to the DG. And, you mentioned, micromanage the uncertain. I love that. I just absolutely love that, because you have to keep your finger on the pulse. And I think that is vitally important for assistant governors. And we urge all assistant governors to not only appear when the DG is visiting, but be there for the clubs. Now, DGE Leslie pointedly appointed and certainly appointed all his AGs since last year. So it is not you coming in on the 1st of July and then you making that entry into clubs. The entry started for me on the 1st of February. That's when the entry should start. It is now to provide that stewardship and guidance to the club. So thank you so much for those wise words. And I would certainly like to hand over to PP Lisa to check to see if there's any questions in the chat.
Good evening, everyone. Well, partly IPDG Charles did such a fantastic job that everything was soaked in so well that no one has any questions at this time. Thank you for sharing your contact information. I'm sure if things pop up along the way, I do not think they'll hesitate to reach out to you, though.
Yeah. We're seeing some comments. Leah said you did a fantastic job. Yes. Okay, so I think that your impassioned speech, I think that what you shared with us, I think will certainly resonate with all of those who are on the call this evening. So thank you again. So I'd like to, at this point, hand over to DGE Leslie to just close with his final thoughts and thank you as well. Oh, there we see a question coming up. Lisa.
IPDG Charles, how do you deal with clubs that do not wish to collaborate?
All right, so there's usually a history behind that statement. So when you see a club has a problem not collaborating, they've been burnt before. There's an issue that is unresolved, and sometimes it's historical, which becomes hysterical because those who are continuing and perpetuating it don't even know how we got here. But as assistant governor, how I would deal with that would, one, speak to the president singularly and get them to appreciate the value of the connectivity, the interdependency. Have an opportunity to speak with their board, and again, get those persons online. Get the board ready and riled up and let them do the job of selling it, not you as the assistant governor, because they're not gonna like the heavy-handedness of the assistant governor. But if you were able to get them to be in that mode, and the other thing would be to get other clubs to start visiting them. You know, we all in this new realm of Zoom and virtual, make it so much easier now for us to visit one another. Get the other clubs to visit them and show them the camaraderie and build that rapport. I think if you start doing things like that, that will go a long way. But if there is an issue that is an unresolved issue, as assistant governor, you need to find that out. Working with your district governor, try and bring that to a head so you can resolve it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, DGE, Leslie.
Thank you. Assistant Governor Charles, it really was a pleasure hearing you present. I heard you last year when you joined with Assistant Governor Lyle doing your presentations, and I tell you, I haven't missed a beat. Thank you for that very inspirational, motivational, full of information speech. Our governors, our assistant governors have been presented with much information that they can take up, and it will serve them in good stead as they go forward next year. Not even next year, starting now, as they go forward to lead the clubs under their command. So I really want to thank you, first of all, for the time you're committed to this presentation, to coming to us tonight. And you shall certainly see the effect of your talk as we go forward in this incoming Rotary. So thank you very much on behalf of the district. We really appreciate your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. And you're free to stay with us as we proceed through the evening. No pressure. Thank you. All
Actually,
right.
I leave to go and do another presentation. So
there you go. There you go.
With bid farewell.
Thank you.
I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much. Right. Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right. So we are going to go into our breakout session. And this session is really meant to try to engage you in smaller groups so that you can discuss some specific areas that I feel that is important. And you have been assigned to groups randomly, like I mentioned at the beginning, and you will be led by an individual, who is part of our district team. If not, you have your own persons in the group, appoint somebody to help to guide the team through the discussion. Okay, well. I trust that you all had some engaging, inspiring discussions, and you're ready to share with the larger group some of the things you've discussed. So I'd like to ask Group 1, Alana, you were able to lead that team. Who is going to be speaking on behalf of Group 1?
Maria is going to present for us. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So Group 1 is what are the qualities of an effective club?
Hi,
so
good
Maria?
evening, everyone. So in my group, I had DG Annie Bryan, incoming District Secretary Alana, and AG Stephen. And one of the things that we said one of the focus that what clubs should focus on is the quality of membership versus the quantity. Also, when in bringing in new members or looking at your membership, ensuring that the diversity in all forms is reflected of the wider community in your club. engagement training of members, both informally and formally, ensuring members understand Rotary, including Rotary guiding principles, engaging all members and ensuring that new members are put on a service project very early on, and also the contribution of all members are taken seriously. Effective internal communication was also cited as a factor for an effective club. According to DGNE Brian, camaraderie and friendship is the glue that keeps all clubs together. And it allows members to determine the collective strengths of other members so that, they work well together. Where clubs are also encouraged to set goals at the beginning of the year and measure their success by the amount that they achieve at the end of the year. Also, what the four-way test was also cited as a quality that brings about an effective club. That is, if it's practice, especially building goodwill and better friendship. Continuity planning was also cited as important in terms of an effective club, and good and effective leadership from the board level. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. I think you've really truly captured quite a bit of what is expected too of an AG to help steward and guide those clubs as well. I particularly like the point on training. Those of you who know me know that training is really close to my heart. And I think that, PDG Charles this evening talked about one of the Stephen Covey's 7 habits of highly effective people as begin with end in mind. And I would like to say, even though people think that they know it all, you need to sharpen your saw. That's the 7th habit. You need to sharpen your saw. So the Rotary Learning Center is there. I know we do have our district trainer, current sitting district trainer with us this evening. And I'll ask her to say a few words on training before we end the evening, because I think that's vitally important that clubs utilize the resources that we have. So thank you, Maria. You touched on quite a bit of points that I think is extremely useful for all of us on the call here this evening. So group number 2, which was led by Leah, and who is presenting on behalf of group number 2 is Giselle. Why is goal setting, Giselle, okay. Why is goal setting important?
Hey, hi, good evening, everyone. We summarized our points, and being PDG, David, and the rest of us AGs. We had Vanji, Leah, Jalim, Lefrido, and myself. Yes, so our question was, why is goal setting important? And we summarized that through using the word goal as an acronym. So we looked at the G, which spoke to gap analysis, because the process of goal setting allowed for us to see where we are and where we would like to be. And the gap in between is really where the goals come in to help us achieve our long-term vision. The O refers to the organization, because we recognize that while we are Rotary clubs, and I may be Rotary Club of X within this island or this country, we are part of Rotary International, and our goals must reflect that of our wider organization, and that process therefore should draw down from the established RI goals, and as we all know, they do have their plan that we draw from. This also speaks to alignment, which is the A in goal, and us, using the opportunity of goal setting and the benefit of it to allow ourselves to better align with not only RI, but also the needs of those we serve, our community, our country, right? And the L refers to the opportunity to be logical and taken out a bit further in terms of being realistic, right? We need to take the time when we're planning goals. It's not just a paper exercise, it's not just a document. The benefit we get that this is actionable, right? So we take that opportunity to write it down and to be realistic, which brings us to the S in goals, which is about being smart. So there's an acronym in this acronym because we're cheating a little bit. And the SMART allows for us to be specific, measurable, achievable, have achievable goals, right? Realistic, and of course, time bound, because this reflects our everyday. We might have long-term goals, we might have short-term goals, whatever it is, at the end of the day, we encourage and totally advocate for goal setting because of all the benefits that we just mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Giselle. Very, very creative, very innovative. This is the kind of thinking DGE is looking for. You step outside of the box and you created an acronym that speaks to goals and goal setting. So I think that's really good. Admirable presentation by your group. So we'd like to go to number 3. How can you help clubs establish goals? And Julian or Viaz were leading that group, and not certain who will present on behalf of that group.
Well, Lise, thank you very much. Yes, I had the honor to lead this group, number 3. And really, it was a big honor because of the participants I had, participants with a lot of experience and track records. So I was the team leader, but also the biggest student in this team. I have to say that the discussion were really, really, really powerful. And the team consists of different powerful guys and Queen, which was Lils, Chase, Elwin. We had Julian and also Miss Luana. Points we had were goals. Goals must be shared from board members, director, but also members. It helps by understanding and being aware and conscious that the success of a club starts by members. We have directors, we have boards, but at the end, the biggest contributor are members. So inclusion of the members' ideas is the foundation. So to be a great leader, use your most valuable quality, which is listening. Listen to your members, understand the culture you are working with, feel, empathy. Those are the skills that members and directors should use to understand and include members in developing the ideas. So we were discussing about the bottom-up approach and stop the top bottom. One last point was mentioned, Julian also was, to the members, have the courage to stop being a member. And the moment you start with the family of Rotary, have the vision to be the leader. And why is that important? Because just being member, just being present is not the vision of Rotary, but it's contribution. And the way of contributing is being the leader the moment you start being a member. Those are the points Group 3 had to share.
Thank you. Those are very, very crucial points. I really like the point about listening, because I think sometimes persons don't listen, and even if they listen, they don't hear, because they're not really engaged to listen to what is happening with clubs. So that's very important. Understanding the culture as well, I think that is key, because it's not everything, not one size fits all. Each club will be unique in its own way, and that's how you help to grow and help that club along the way as well. So thank you, Group 3, for those comments, and I trust that you had that really good engagement. And there's a message in the chat: empathy was voted the #1 skill for lead in 2021. That's really a great point. Thanks. All right, so let's go to group number 4, which was the group that I was in, and we had a really good and interesting discussion, lots of points, and we appointed Delroy. We had Armand in the group along with Jean-Marc Schmidt. I got that right. And Delbert will be the one reporting on behalf of our group. So Delbert. Name is yours.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks, Liz. So Liz already mentioned the members who were in our group. Our question was, what are some of the common challenges that clubs must overcome? Now, from the answers you will hear here, most of it, most of the income is AGs, and of course Liz, and we had our DG for a little while. We sort of went straight to the solutions. So the answers are geared, they're solution oriented. One, some of the things that people, and including AGs, this does not only relate to the clubs, but AGs as well, is we need to know more of the club. I think there's a disconnect. So the suggestion was continue to meet clubs, meet every president, especially as an AG. Meet the presidents, every one of the presidents, the secretaries, the members as well. Membership makes up what we are as Rotary, and that's going to be very, very important. Help each other to understand our job descriptions. Every one of us, even the ordinary Rotarian, has a particular role to play. I think oftentimes we don't really recognize what that is. As EG, as club leadership, one of our jobs is to ensure that everybody knows where they fit in the family of Rotary. Um, Help everyone in the clubs and the district to understand Rotary Club Central. Rotary Club Central is one of the biggest assets that we have, aside from each other. And I think it is vastly underutilized. And the more we are able to utilize it, even through my experience in the Learning Center as an incoming AG, there's such a vast amount of information that I've already garnered. So helping clubs and presidents and leadership to understand and help members to set up their Rotary accounts and go through the Rotary Club Central. Participate in clubs events. And I want to link this to another comment that was made. Help clubs to collaborate events, right? That will be done very effectively when we plan our years and we help club presidents and secretaries to plan the year out. So we don't have cross-cutting events and we don't have like Liz mentioned earlier, four clubs having an event on the same day, a major event on the same day. What that does is minimize the impact of Rotary in your locality, and what you want to do is to maximize it so that each club and each different members can support each other's activity, and we can maximize the impact of Rotary in our locality. Understand the importance and the function of the district. A lot of the problems that our clubs go through, we heard us or previous speaker earlier on talk about the historical problems that we have. A lot of those things can be solved and we can mitigate a lot of hiccups if we understand the link that and the vast asset that the district is. And I think understanding the role of committee heads. Every area in Rotary, the district has a committee and a committee head that leads that throughout the year. And we can lean on them very, very heavily as a resource and as a support to help us in executing our functions as AG. One of the other good things, where we have common problems is through communication, and how we can combat that is to very, very quickly and very easily set up good communication channels. One of our, I think Jean-Marc, and I want to really commend him for this, has already gone and set up WhatsApp groups with presidents and secretary-elects in his locality and already started communicating with them. Liz has sent out a tremendous amount of resources including the president's toolkits and so on that we can go and we can use and the year planner that we can use as asset. It makes our job as AGs very simple, but it will also help the club to overcome a lot of problems too as well. One of the things that's very big is to promote district events and activities, particularly conference and pets. Once you start rallying people and you start getting them exposed to these types of district events, which is the biggest for the year, I think it really helps to foster great activity and efficiency within the club. Ensure that everyone has a My Rotary account. Liz had a great suggestion using it as a treasure hunt, taking pictures, reposting in a group, and so on and so forth to ensure that everybody has a My Rotary account. Forward planning is definitely going to be a key feature. Help to re-energize your clubs because we tend to see club leadership getting fatigued and when in the second half of the year, help to re-energize, and forward planning will help to combat that. Foster better communication with the district, visit clubs regularly, plan visits for the entire year, not just when there is a crisis. And like our feature speaker said, micromanage the system. Make sure that we are connected to the clubs and that each club is connected and we're maximizing the impact of Rotary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Delbert. Excellent job. Yeah, our group really, I was really impressed with Jean-Marc. Jean-Marc has set up his WhatsApp group. He has started his visits, and that's it. You really need to start very early. You can't start in July. When 1st of July, clubs really need to be hitting the ground running. You have to start now. Now is the time to start visiting with the clubs. And what is important, I think, and just to add to what Delbert has said, is to also include the sitting AGs. Sit with the sitting AGs to find out what are some of the strengths and challenges of the persons. What are some of the personalities we have to deal with? So those are the things. I mean, I intend to sit with the current AG, but I also intend to sit with past AG Luader as well, because I think, I want to tap into all of what has gone on with clubs and get a good understanding and a good feel of how can I help clubs. And I can only help them if I have the information to help them. It will take me longer to help them if I have to now go and ask them or try to figure out where they're at any particular point in their journey as well. So thank you, Delbert. Really good job. Group 5, that was led by PP Lisa. So if we can have Group 5.
PP Lathan is going to be presenting on behalf of the group that was filled with 3 AGs, sitting AGs. So they have no one to sit with per se at this point.
Thank you, Liz. Well, as you said, Lisa led our group. The other people in my group was Peter from Barbados and Maurice from Guadeloupe. And well, we basically spoke about some of the challenges that we were facing in our territory. And well, I started with an admission, which was also supported by Peter, of our own shortcomings so far as AG for the year, recognizing that we might not have been able to step up to where we should be in terms of our performance. And I'm not trying to make any excuses, but in keeping with the 4-way test is the truth. The truth is, I don't feel that I have done my best so far as an AG for a number of reasons. However, and a concerted effort is being made to fix that over the next 4.5 months remaining in the year. So we really spoke about some of the common challenges that we're facing as AGs in our territories. And well, I had identified that 4 or 5 areas, mainly attendance, in terms of the feedback we were getting from our clubs. Luckily for me in St. Lucia, we have 2 very strong mature clubs that can handle themselves. And so I don't worry about them too much. They've been able to get their programs going and get their projects done. But still suffering from the problem of attendance. That was a general problem we noted across the board. And Peter and perhaps Maurice also had the same problem. And internal conflicts was one of the issues I also found we had to contend with. I certainly had to contend with and wanted to get a little more advice on how an AG should handle internal conflicts within the territory. And while we may not have discussed it, I'm thinking that perhaps at the PETS training, the incoming presidents should learn a little bit more about the role of the AG and what they're supposed to do and when they come into the picture. So I'm hoping that that will be something that is stressed, because very rarely a club will call on me as the AG to ask any question or to discuss anything. I'm not sure if they don't know that I'm there to assist, but that is something I think the incoming president should probably be a little bit more aware of. The another challenge we had was not being able to meet face to face. Again, this is quite common, and because of that, it has affected the level of fellowship within the clubs. This inability to meet face to face also I think has affected members being able to attract new members to the clubs. And in the case of our clubs, there's been zero growth in membership development. And hopefully that problem will go away very soon as we get back to some normalcy. We also found that dues was a problem that has surfaced in some of the territories, and members not paying the dues as well as their contributions to the foundation. That is a serious problem that we're confronting. But we recognize that we need to step up our game as AGs, and like I said, over the next coming months, and I'll speak more on that on Saturday, that we will address these shortcomings and perform up to what is expected of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Leighton. I'm glad that you were able to make that contribution, because as a sitting AG, that is, I'm certainly will read the incoming AGs that are new, good information for them as well to ensure that is. But we're trying really hard to make sure that the president-elects and secretary-elects are aware of the role of the AG. So that will be more than re-emphasized when we have our PETS training, and to make sure that they too understand that an AG is not there, it's not going to be there just to turn up when we have a problem, but also to reach out to, you can reach out to an AG. So hopefully we'll be able to get that, and I'm happy that you'll be able to now be re-energized for the rest of the Rotary year, and then you take that energy into the new Rotary year. So thanks a lot, Leighton, for that. Now, I have a question that I would like to ask PDG David. It's a question that Leighton kind of mentioned. How can an AG handle internal conflict? Perhaps PDG David can share his wisdom with us.
Okay, well, thanks. Of course, you chose me to be first to put on the spot, Liz. Thanks very much for that. Most appreciated. But difficult one to answer for specifics, because this crops up all across the world. And it depends on what that conflict is. Now, in a lot of cases, the most common is probably those little cliques and clubs who run the club but are not officers of the club. I'm sure everybody understands what I mean there. You see every head nearly shaking because that's one of the biggest problems. Now, you don't go into attack that by doing just that attacking. I remember many years ago, a club, I wouldn't name it, of course. I would just say that they don't speak the same language that I do, which had that type of clique. And I was told, don't even try, don't even sit, don't even try to talk with them. So I said, can't happen with me. I can try. I went and I sat in the middle, pulled the chair and sat in the middle. Well, it didn't start off the most pleasant, I must admit, but I would say that we ended by staying about 2 hours after the meeting, chatting in the same group. So success was guaranteed. The only way you confront some of these things is to tell them the truth, show them where they are doing things that others don't like, not that they're necessarily wrong, because that's the way they came up doing it. And a lot of people do not like to hear, well, you don't do it this way. Don't mind they're the ones telling the new ones they do it this way, but you can't tell them that they're wrong. But there are always avenues that you can bring them together and make them realize that they should be the ones to be, in a way, teaching and helping the others rather than helping them down. I always like that approach, and sort of, there's always a member of that group that's more vocal and probably the one to break first. That's the one you have to go after. But never going in any adversarial way. You have to, Leighton, I say you pick and choose the ones you want to pick on and work on it slowly. There's no one meeting that's going to solve that, but you have to try to work on them over a period of time. And that's the big problem. The other problems that we saw creeping up in the world of Rotary, I unfortunately was placed in a position where I had to be dealing with a lot of those things when I was on a membership committee. But nowadays we have so many different avenues where problems can creep up, and not least of which, without getting deep into it, is the problem of let's just say diversity, to put it widely for you. And I think most of you will understand, but we have many different things that happen in different jurisdictions. There's no one size that fits all. Some of it, some of the problems just come up because of custom or religion, or there's very much problems with relationships, men and women in clubs, and we just have to deal with that on a one-by-one basis. There's no one that can write a manual for that, I assure you.
Absolutely. Thank you, PDG David. I know that, personalities also, there are lots of personality clashes, but also large size egos,
yep.
Giant size egos that also lends itself to the confrontation. But I always try to tell persons, you try to make constructive use of your individual differences, because I think that we all can bring something to the table if only we listen to an opposing view. But there are times when the situation becomes untenable, and you have to make a decision one way or the other. So, but thank you, PDG David, for those wise words. And I certainly would want to have our district trainer, Luana, because Luana is the sitting district trainer, and Luana, I know, has been trying really hard. I know she started off the year trying really hard to get people into the Learning Center, and she's still trying, in that regard. So perhaps, Luana, could you weigh in a bit on what is happening in terms of training in our district, and how can the AGs help to solve that issue with getting people into the Learning Center? Putting you on the spot too.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate this a lot, Liz. So good night, everybody. Well, training continues, the acceptance of the need for training continues to be one of the major challenges in the district, in my view. As the sitting trainer, I believe that I tried as much as I could have to get clubs to understand that it's only through training that the clubs can grow and we can develop future leaders. Like a business, a successful business is one that invests heavily in training of their employees. And we should look at it from the same perspective in Rotary. If you don't believe that training is an important and critical component of the development of your club, then your club is going to be stagnated until you come to the realization and acceptance that we have to train our Rotarians. The Rotary International has guidelines by which we're bound, and certain things are not negotiable. And we accept that clubs have unique cultures, but at the same time, training has to be a culture that is adopted by all the clubs. I'm sorry that for this year so far, we have the data on the participation at our pre-pets. 35% of incoming officers only attended our training. Liz, I hope the figures will be better for you, but we were able to chart each and every role, incoming role, so we have the data on hand. And it's sad that after all the effort that was put into training, we had low participation. That is not to say we will not continue, because I believe in training. And Liz, I'm happy that you will be taking the mantle over from me, because I know you believe 110% in the need for training. And we have to continue along this path. It is only through training that the clubs can grow. And when the clubs grow, the district will grow. And we need that to happen. So Liz, I don't want to say too much in terms of going into the the role of the AGs in making this
I
happen, because
know.
I know I'm a panelist on Saturday.
Saturday.
I don't want to be repetitive. So I think I'm going to stop here, but just encourage
Sure.
these AGs to accept the importance of training and figure ways that you can communicate this to the clubs under your stewardship for the next year.
Right. Thank you, Luana, for that very, very current information. I thought that was important to hear about training in terms of what is happening, because, well, I should say what is not really happening in some clubs, because there are clubs, even though you have a club trainer, nothing has really happened for the entire year, and Luana has experienced that. But one of the things that we would like AGs to be part of, and I must let you know that, and I think you know already, that PETS is now just for the president-elects and the secretary-elects, like it used to be many years ago, just for the president-elects and the secretary-elects. All right, because we want to make sure that people are just not hiding behind a screen or just don't turn up because, oh yeah, it's 150 persons or 200 persons there, so I can just easily not show up. People didn't realize that we were actually keeping a register. Luana was keeping a register. We kept a register the year before. And the year before we had a little bit more participation. I think it was like 40%. And that has dropped to 35%. So yeah, we're really looking forward to see what happens with PETS when PETS start, because when it's only the president-elect and secretary-elects that are supposed to. And believe it or not, we have clubs who have not uploaded their team, the club teams to RI's website. So while we might have a name, somebody register, we don't have any information about a person. There's no email address or anything, about that person, because when we look at the register, we're trying to match the persons who are actually registered against the directory, and that is creating a challenge. But Secretary-elect Alana is trying really hard to capture that missing data as we move along. But one of the other things that we really want the AGs to be involved in is to orient the board, do orientation with the boards. You can do it collectively, individually, whatever your culture dictates, go right ahead and do it, because I think it's important that you are part and parcel of that orientation. You don't have to do it all yourself. Tap into the resources in your club, tap into the resources in your district, ask the district team for help, the district training team for help. But you should be doing I call it an onboarding exercise for all the clubs under your remit. I think that is vitally important. And what we have done in the training committee is we've developed a president's toolkit, which would provide some guidance and for the president, some quick tips on serving as president. But one of the things that we are actually bringing back in a condensed format is the planning guide that used to be completed. Some of you who served as president many years ago would know that you had to complete the planning guide, which went through in very great detail what the club is expected to do, what is expected of the club. And that planning guide is supposed to have been, it used to be completed by the president-elect, secretary-elect, and handed to the AG. Now that is a tool that you can use as you proceed to visit the clubs, on a quarterly basis or monthly basis, whatever, or however you determine, that is possible. And it's to visit not just a board meeting, but a club meeting as well, perhaps even a committee meeting. And that's the only way you get an idea of what is really happening in the club. But what is also very important is that, yes, somebody might have said, yeah, we're doing that. You as AGs need to also check to see what they say they're doing, they're actually doing. I'm sorry, but you have to micromanage uncertain, as PDG Charles here, micromanage uncertain, because it's the only way that you'll be able to understand, because clubs can come and you have a meeting and you get some glorious reports, but are they really doing what they're telling you they're doing? All right, getting them on Club Central is one way of monitoring them as they move along, and that's key as well. So, okay, we kind of opened at this point, we can open the mics for anyone who wants to share any experience, some of the sitting AGs. I know we have AGs who are going to be in DGE, Leslie's year, their third year as AG. So feel free, if you wish, at this point, to share any thoughts that you have. Any thoughts from anyone? Is PDG Elvin still here? PDG Elvin, come on. Any thoughts on AGs and what we discussed this evening? Must have stepped away from his screen. All right. Okay. What we would also be doing with our sessions, which will continue in PETS, is we will be doing a Zoom poll. So in another 5 minutes or so, Sean will put up the Zoom poll. It's just 10 questions, just to get a sense of how impactful, if at all impactful, this session was for you, and any suggestions you might have as we move forward. DGE?
Thank you, District Trainer Liz. Folks, I think I would say that we got off to a fantastic start. We had a very good opening back from PDG Tads. I think he started us very well on a very good note, provided a lot of information, certainly set your minds thinking about the way forward. And there were a lot of takeaways from his presentation, all to reinforce us as we go forward, and you, the assistant governors, in doing your work. The discussion questions were tremendous. I moved from a few rooms, I joined a few rooms, and I can see that the persons in the rooms were very much engaged in the discussion. All were quite willingly making contributions, discussing the problems, the challenges, the goals of clubs, the goals that clubs should have, and so on. So obviously, that interest there tells us that the training team has really set us up so that we can be well prepared going forward, facing our incoming year. I really want to commend the training team for that. And that, if you look at the makeup of the team, we do have very experienced persons there, and they are certainly preparing us as we head into the new Rotary year. So I want to commend everybody for making this serious effort to attend. I appreciate the presence of our past district governors. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to your continued support during the year. I depend on you for your support. I need all the advice and suggestions that you have to offer, because you are experienced, having been district governors, and so I really depend on you for that support so that we can build and strengthen Rotary in District 7030. I really look forward to us building strong clubs. I think our clubs need our help. Assistant governors, listen to this, because you are so important in that relationship building with your clubs. Get in there, work with them, and make sure that every single Rotarian in every club understand, to use a popular word of my very, very past district governor, Johnny Watts, understand what Rotary is about. That is so important, you know. Use of the Learning Center. You know, I'm a student of the Learning Center, I have to confess. I really enjoy going in there. I tend to get lost in there because there's so many things that you can learn about Rotary. So many things. It's really interesting. And if you just get started, get involved, and you can do many things there, you know. So I really appeal to you to make sure that your clubs and your club members go into the Learning Center to develop themselves. So I want to thank everybody for attending. It's an interesting session. I look forward to Saturday's session, when there will be more discussions, more preparations, as we make sure that our assistant governors are well enforced going forward. See that Sean has set up the poll, so we now invite you to take the poll questions. Thanks again very much.
While that is happening, I know Giselle had raised her hand. Giselle, you wanted to say something?
No, I wasn't sure if it was like a open Q&A.
Yes, it is. It is open.
Okay.
It is open.
Okay, cool. So I am always open for help. And I would just like anybody to give me 3 things, or if I could go away with 3 things, so 3 ways in which I could deal with a club who has had the same president for the last 2 to 3 years, and what words of encouragement that I can bring to said club and club members. Okay, anyone, you could drop it in the chat if you want to take the mic, right? So just words of advice, actionable, that I can take back to that club, please. Thank you.
PDG Lyle, please.
Liz, you asking me for the advice, Giselle?
Yes. Giselle, yeah, Giselle's.
Well,
any thoughts for Giselle?
Giselle, I will send you a little note on it, but really and truly, it's a matter of the members themselves need to realize that they have the power. It's not one person. And once they feel empowered, then they will step up. That person probably most times, well, there are two different scenarios. One, that person is dominating and the club will die. Or two, the members simply don't have the self-confidence, which means they need training, knowledge.
Right. Thank you, PDG Lyle. And I see that my friend Audley Knight is in the house, and I think he had his hands up. Audley.
Hi, good day. I don't have functions. I came in late, but I'm happy to just sit in and learn because I'm in constant learning mode, and I'm just glad to be here.
Okay. All right. Thanks. PGD Elvin, you wanted to say something? I got an alert from PP Lisa that you're about to say something.
No, not exactly, not specifically, but my apologies. I just experienced a short blackout and some connectivity loss, so couldn't connect again. But here I am. Thank you for a wonderful session. I think I had the luck of being part of a group 3 with 3 PDGs and listen to our district trainer, current district trainer, Luana Falcone. And I can second what PDG David Edwards and PDG Lyle Chase just said. You know, the most important entity within the Rotary, within our organization are the members in the club. And to strengthen the club, we have to go and train and educate ourselves. So I don't know what has been said previously in the past few minutes. I just lost that. But whenever my good friend DG Leslie, not sorry,
too many else.
You know, if you call me on duty, I will be there. Attention, right? Always have your back, and for the rest of the team, good luck. You can always count on your district team, including me, if there's anything I can contribute to this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, on that note, yeah, sure.
I just wanted to welcome Audley too. I know you've joined us late, but thank you so much for being with us, and we expect to see a lot more of you going forward. So thank you very much.
All right. Did everyone take part in the poll? Don't see everyone taking part in the poll because I'm seeing the results. If you haven't, please, let's see how we can improve as we go forward with our training. DGN Brian, as I await to end the poll, would you want to add any item of interest?
Oh, thanks a lot again. I found this session to be extremely useful. And this is coming from someone who's been AG for a number of times, a serious number of times. What I have noted though, is that in the early days, during my early 10 years as AG, the focus was on essentially being a go for the district governor. Essentially, you know, being like a chief of staff or a secretary for the district governor, making sure that his visits were coordinated and so on. And I say his because, of course, in that time, all of the AGs, all of the district governors were men. What I've found emerging, and it came through very strongly this evening, was that the role of the AG in managing the clubs, in helping to manage, and not necessarily, I don't mean micromanage, but to assist the governor in his role of working with the clubs. I think that I've seen that transformation. So AGs no longer work directly just to support the district governors. They work to support the district governors specifically in their role in working with the clubs. So that trend, I think, has been an extremely useful trend. And I certainly look forward to working with this group over the next year, supporting our DGE when he becomes DG, and looking forward to working with many of you, hopefully in the next year, 4 months and 2 weeks, assuming that many of you all will be willing to continue in your role as AGs. So thanks a lot, and have a good evening, everyone.
Right, thank you, Brian. I know you're putting in you're plugging. That's a very smart thing to do. You started plugging early. Thanks. Okay, guys. On that note, I certainly wish to thank you all for this evening. I think this was very interesting. We got off to a really good start, and let's continue this conversation because we do need to have AGs playing a greater role. I think that was more than evident tonight by all of the presenters, whether it's in the group or the main presenter, whether by DGE and all the other past district governors who are on the call this evening. So have a good evening, and I commit that the next time we'll stop at exactly 8:45. All right. Be well until Saturday. See you guys on Saturday.
Thank you all. Thanks again for joining.
Bye.
Have a good night all.